This Palm Sunday starts, as all Palm Sundays do, with eager and happy faces, fresh green palms that we so expectantly await to receive as part of the joyful parade and procession into church and sometimes around the church, joyfully exclaiming our hosannas as we reenact Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem. We reenact the story so that we also can become partakers of Jesus' journey into Jerusalem. People have often asked me why we have two distinct liturgies for today. We have the Palm Liturgy and then the Passion Liturgy. Put quite simply, I feel like you can't really understand or even appreciate the joy of Easter without first experiencing the pain and grief of the cross. For those of us who won't or who can't experience the darkness and seriousness of Holy Week, it's important for us to hear the story of Jesus' last days before Easter. And so that's what today is all about. And so today is known both as Palm Sunday, because we start with joyful palms, and Passion Sunday, because we hear the story of the cross. And so about 30 or so days ago, we started this Lenten journey together. We've journeyed with Jesus over the last several weeks into the wilderness, into his ministry. We have made promises which some have kept or at least tried to keep, and which some of us perhaps have broken. We have heard stories of second chances, of being lost and then found, of abundant and extravagant love. And this all leads us to today, where we follow Jesus with joyful hosannas as he enters Jerusalem, and then to when those hosannas turn into angry and judgmental, crucify him. So although we began with joy and with loud hosannas, we finish with the complete story of Jesus' Last Supper, betrayal, suffering, crucifixion, and burial. And so I always struggle with what to preach on this particular Sunday, Palm Passion Sunday. I mean, we've just heard the whole story, the greatest love story ever told. What is there more to say? There are no words that I can preach that give a clear picture as to what Jesus does for us. Today, we hear a story of a man who willingly walks towards death. We encounter a man who willfully embraces that death, a sure and very painful death. I've always been struck by the honesty and vividness of the Gethsemane story, of which we heard today in the Passion. If we believe in the incarnation, and if you've read this story, how can you not be struck by this man, this God, who is clearly struggling with what is about to happen to him? He implores his Father in heaven, "Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." And the gospel goes on to say that in his anguish he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like drops of blood falling down to the ground. It is in this story of Gethsemane that we see the culmination of God's humanity in Jesus. Jesus knows what is going to happen, and he is tormented by it, and yet he still chooses death. God so loves us that God chooses death on a cross so that we may all have life. And with the telling of this story, the love story of which we know what will happen, we now begin Holy Week. But even though we've heard the complete story today from Jerusalem to the cross, I still think it's an abridged version, the Cliff Notes version. It's abridged because we've heard it, but we haven't truly experienced it. And so today, I formally invite you all into Holy Week. I invite you into the holiest of holies, to not just hear the story, but to experience it, to walk the path that Jesus and his disciples walked over 2,000 years ago. I also invite you to stay awake, to walk each day with Christ, to see what he sees and to feel what he feels, to open your eyes to the world around you, to see death, to see the hurt, because only then can you even glimpse a sliver of what the cross is all about. And so today we invite you all to begin our journey into Holy Week as participants and not just observers. We at St. David's invite you all to watch, to listen, and to feel. For we're all feeling the weight of darkness in a world torn by strife and hatred and the horrors of the war that we hear about every day. And so we wait. We hear his words. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And yet we also hear the words of faith as Christ dies. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. This, my friends, is Holy Week. And so with our hands and our feet, with our sight and our senses, with our singing and our prayers, let us walk through Holy Week once again. Amen.